The charges falsifying business records, a scheme orchestrated to influence the 2016 election. The city that had been his playground, his launchpad to fame, was now the setting for his potential downfall. Narrator, New York City. A city that never sleeps found itself holding its breath. The day had come. Donald J. Trump, the businessman who became president, the showman who thrived on spectacle, was due in court. Not for a rally, not for a photo op, but for sentencing. The air crackled with anticipation and anxiety. Media from around the globe camped outside the courthouse, their cameras poised to capture every twitch, every grimace of the man who had commanded their attention for years. Protesters and supporters gathered, their chants a discordant symphony echoing the deep divisions Trump had both inherited and inflamed. Security was tight, a visible reminder of the political volatility that surrounded the case. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was electric. Lawyers, journalists, and members of the public crammed into the gallery, their eyes glued to the defense table. And then, he appeared. Trump, his face a mask of defiance, his gait slow but deliberate, took his seat. The judge entered, the gavel fell, and the final act of the Trump Organization trial began. The case had transfixed the nation for months. Could a former president, once considered above the law by some, be held accountable for his actions? The gravity of the moment was not lost on anyone present. This was not just about Donald Trump. It was about the rule of law, about the future of American democracy. As the prosecution began its opening statement, a hush fell over the courtroom. The world watched and waited. For weeks, the courtroom had been transformed into a theater of justice. Prosecutors meticulously laid out their case, a complex web of financial deceit designed to bolster Trump's image and silence potential scandals.
They painted a picture of a company, the Trump Organization, operating with a blatant disregard for the law, its actions directed from the very top. Key witnesses, some former Trump insiders turned state's evidence, took the stand.
Their testimonies were damning. They spoke of a culture of deceit, of pressure to inflate valuations to secure favorable loans and tax breaks.
Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal attorney, once a loyal fixer, provided explosive testimony, detailing how he personally arranged hush money payments at Trump's behest, actions that directly led to the charges at hand.
The evidence was presented, spreadsheets, emails, financial statements, all pointing to a pattern of deception. The prosecution argued that Trump was not a bystander, but the driving force behind the scheme.
They argued that his actions struck at the heart of fair elections and undermined public trust in institutions. The defense, as expected, was combative. They argued that Trump was a victim of a political witch hunt, targeted by his enemies in the Democratic Party and a biased justice system.
They attempted to discredit witnesses, painting them as disgruntled former employees seeking revenge. They insisted that Trump, a business magnate, was not intimately involved in the day-to-day operations of his company and was unaware of any wrongdoing. Days turned into weeks as the trial unfolded. The tension in the courtroom was palpable, a tangible entity that seemed to hang in the air. The jury, tasked with the momentous responsibility of deciding the fate of a former president, listened intently to both sides.
The weight of their decision, the historical significance of their verdict, was inescapable. After days of deliberation, the jury reached a decision. The foreperson, their face etched with the gravity of the moment, stood and read the verdict.
Guilty. Guilty on all counts. A collective gasp rippled through the courtroom. The word guilty seemed to echo off the walls, a stark pronouncement that reverberated far beyond the confines of the courthouse.
For a brief moment, silence descended upon the room, a silence pregnant with shock and disbelief. Trump, who had maintained an air of unflinching confidence throughout the trial, seemed momentarily stunned, his face betraying a flicker of vulnerability before hardening into a mask of anger.
His legal team, once boisterous and defiant, appeared blindsided, their faces pale and drawn. The judge set a sentencing date. The news spread like wildfire, dominating headlines, social media feeds, and conversations across the country.
A former president, for the first time in American history, had been found guilty of criminal charges. The verdict sent shockwaves through the nation, dividing families, igniting debates, and raising profound questions about accountability, justice, and the future of American democracy.
The verdict unleashed a torrent of fury from Donald Trump. He took to his platform of choice, his social media empire, to denounce the verdict, labeling it a witch hunt and a sham trial.
His words, laced with anger and defiance, echoed the grievances and resentments of his most ardent supporters, further inflaming the deep political divisions that had come to define the nation.
Trump, never one to shy away from a fight, vowed to appeal the verdict.
They alleged a prosecutorial misconduct, jury tampering, and a litany of other grievances, echoing the claims of a stolen election that had become a hallmark of Trump's rhetoric.
Rallies were quickly organized, drawing thousands of die-hard Trump supporters.
American flags waved alongside banners proclaiming Trump 2024 and Stop the Steal, a potent reminder of the enduring power of Trumpism and the deep well of anger and resentment it continued to tap into.
The verdict, far from silencing Trump, seemed to amplify his voice, giving him a renewed sense of purpose and grievance.
His message resonated with his base, further solidifying his grip on the Republican Party and fueling concerns about the future of American democracy.
The nation, already deeply polarized, seemed to split further along partisan lines in the aftermath of the verdict. For many, the verdict was a long-awaited moment of accountability, a sign that no one, not even a former president, was above the law. Celebrations erupted in cities across the country, with people taking to the streets to express their relief and vindication. "This is a victory for the rule of law," declared one legal expert. His words echoed by many in the legal community who saw the verdict as a testament to the strength of American institutions. "No one is above the law, and today's verdict proves that our system of justice still works," said a prominent Democratic lawmaker, his words reflecting the sentiment of many within his party. But for Trump's supporters, the verdict was a travesty, a politically motivated witch hunt designed to silence their champion and prevent him from running for office again. Protests erupted in pockets of the country, fueled by anger, misinformation, and a deep distrust of the government and the media. "This is a sad day for America," lamented one Trump supporter, his words tinged with anger and disillusionment. The verdict became a Rorschach test for a nation grappling with its identity and its future. It exposed the deep fissures that had been widening for years, fueled by economic anxiety, social change, and a hyper-partisan media landscape. The verdict, far from healing these divisions, seemed to exacerbate them, leaving many wondering if a house so divided could ever truly stand. As Trump's legal team prepared for a protracted appeals process, the political landscape braced itself for the aftershocks.
The verdict threw the 2024 presidential race into further uncertainty, with Trump's legal woes potentially overshadowing the Republican primaries and impacting the general election.
Would this be the end of Trump's political ambitions, or would it galvanize his base and propel him back into the political arena?
The Republican Party, already deeply divided between those who remain fiercely loyal to Trump and those eager to move on, faced a reckoning.
Would they continue to embrace Trumpism with its populist rhetoric and attacks on democratic institutions, or would they chart a new course?
The verdict forced a long overdue conversation within the party about its values, its direction, and its future. The impact of the verdict extended far beyond the realm of politics.
It raised profound questions about the rule of law, the role of the judiciary, and the fragility of democratic norms.
The verdict served as a stark reminder that the peaceful transfer of power, a cornerstone of American democracy, could not be taken for granted.
The world watched, holding its breath, as America grappled with the fallout of the Trump era. The verdict, a historic moment in American history, marked not an ending but a beginning, the start of a new chapter fraught with uncertainty, division, and the enduring legacy of Donald J. Trump.